So anyway, we talked about the lottery process. There is an accompanying policy exhibit that goes along with this policy that describes the actual priorities of our magnet process, magnet lottery process. And that is JCA-E. And that's a more detailed supplement to this policy.
The JCAE and the JCAE2, which one?
Well, I believe there's just an JCAE. The E2 is old. Yeah. Right. Yep.
So maybe this is historical, when we talk about the lottery process, and exclusively looking at this from a magnet program perspective. We do have the setup of homeschoolers. And so, I think one of the complaints I've heard from people is that I'm supposed to be, I've got a homeschool, but then I also have two other schools that I'm supposed to be able to go to or choose to.
So there's a magnet.
You can.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I'm wondering, relating back to the one where I live, where East Met, Providence, and Butler, the three that are tied together. Okay, so I guess you're assigned to one school, you really don't have an opportunity to go to the other.
You don't.
So I wonder why that's even in place if we're not gonna do anything to.
Who knows that place? I don't know that is a place.
Isn't that part of the choice?
We have actually taken that out about 3 or 4 years ago because, just as you said, there was no realistic option. And so about 3 or 4 years ago, the non-magnet piece of choice has been eliminated from our policy.
Okay.
Which, this probably answers part of my question. Say you're a student at Butler, what is one of the programs they have in the high school there? Well, let's just say mechanics.
Okay.
And the students in that pattern want mechanics, but it's not offered at his or her high school. Do they have the option to move?
They can go through the transfer process. We do have programs that are unique to each school, as you just noted. There's programs at East Mac, such as automotive, that may not be available at Butler, for example.
So that's not considered magnet?
It's not magnet, and you actually raise a good point. I think you're going this direction. We are now getting into an era of expanded options that aren't magnets. And that is an item that we will have to address as a part of our policy that's not currently in our policy. How do we address that? Do we use the same priorities that are in the magnets in Exhibit E, or do we not have any priorities at all? So those are good discussion points as we get into more expanded options. Definitely a good point.
Question about that, so, you did away with the equity committee and equity policy. But when we come to issues like that, which isn't necessarily a student assignment issue, does that fall back into that equity pot that we would have had in the past? Should that be a part of our conversation or something totally different?
I don't know where that will fall. I know that and I don't know where we are with, I think that Paul, part of what I think you're reflecting is that we talked over the last 2 years about every child needed to have 2 or 3 good options of schools, but we never developed it.
We never defined that.
We never defined that.
Right.
And
Yeah, that's a good point.
the old days, that was our language. And also, we were talking about the CTE pods where you
The hubs, yeah.
The hubs. And I don't know where we are with that anymore. If that was all future coming down the pike, and whether we were going to continue all that giving to your question, the opportunity to go where the program was if you really needed it. Now, it is an equity issue that we offer the same things. I've had people asking me lately, have we done away with orchestra and band and new middle schools, but we haven't. But not all middle schools have orchestra and band, because if you don't have students who will take them. But they're not, they also cannot trade that position. So they may have an orchestra teacher doing some other kind of teaching without students who are learning to play instruments and play the orchestra. But that's one we haven't given any freedom about, because we want to make sure every school has orchestra and band opportunities for students. That's an equity issue. So we've continued some of that. We just haven't continued it in the way we did with the reporting every year. Does that get at what you're?
Well, I guess I'm asking, were we premature in doing away with that, given some of the questions we're going to have to address as we go forward in terms of access to programming that's outside of the magnet continuum, in terms of the types of experiences that students have the opportunity to participate in, whether it's co-curricular or otherwise. That was kind of the place, at least to my understanding, that some of that at least could be tracked, and we could try to demonstrate that we were doing what was necessary for students.
What you're saying, that's another way of defining diversity, too. You're defining diversity in the sense of meeting students' needs and talents and possibilities. And it also addresses, at a very basic level, the parent community's sense of inequities in our school system. So I think you're probably right that it's just essential to what we should be studying and developing and finding and polishing. Never have abandoned.
I started paying attention, and I heard, oh, we have an equity committee. By the time I went to the website, it had disappeared. So I never really got a sense for what it was trying to get done, how it functioned, what its purpose, and what results it was trying to achieve.
Well, I think it went through many iterations, and Paul can help us speak to it more, but I think if it's something that we feel like we want and need, it can be what we define it to be. And it doesn't have to be exactly any of the iterations.
No, the policy we have says there can be an equity committee. The board just has to decide to have it. And then we'd have to figure the charter, and then we'd have to figure out how we want people with the membership and exactly what we want to do. And what happened was that the equity committee did, and now we put representatives of the board to the equity committee, as long as there was one since I've been on the board. It did go through different things where it was perceived by enough board members that it got out of control, doing its own thing rather than doing what they thought it should be doing, but we finally lost it.
Were there any
That's the
found?
briefest way to speak about it.
So what you're saying, it was just a potluck discussions and not defined goals?
The board was responsible for, in the old equity policy, for keeping things updated. The board never did that. I mean, literally never. So, years after the equity committee was formed, in which and all those years we got this big equity book that went into every media center and counted things, and into every school and counted papers and science classes and all that sort of stuff. We had moved entirely, just as an example, we had moved entirely away from using cassette paper borders. We were using DVDs and things like that. But we were still counting cassette paper borders, which the board had never updated in the business. And that made people upset. That was a kind of little thing. Why are you making me do all this work instead of do education when we could be spending our time better? And the board didn't have the will at the moment to update all that stuff, so we didn't do it. And was it really? The question became for many board members: was it really equity? Just when we were looking so much at things,
Yeah.
And the board was trying to say, some of us were trying to say, no, it's not just about things, it is about all the opportunities, and there were requirements of after-school programming and chess clubs and things like this, so that students would have something to do in the places we didn't have any. But again, we went through this period of histories where everything became not what, if we can't get students to do it, how can we have a chess club? Instead of really recruiting chess club members, we said, we just can't get them, so we can't do that part of it anymore. And they kind of picked their way at the equity program. And we have basically changed from an equity model in terms of funding anything when we went to weighted student staffing. That changed dramatically what we were doing with equity. And the whole equity model, which is why I opposed that weighted student staffing initially, because I thought the equity model was a better model. But I lost. We moved on. Now I defend weighted student staffing because I'm afraid what happens if we don't have that. You know? how do we go forward? But yes, I mean there are a number of things here that we have that all come up under this, and equity would be one. I think that the board needed to have done a better job identifying what the equity committee should be doing, and we didn't do that.
Yeah, because it seems as if it broke down to the minutia. And I know it's important, for instance, when I was at Advanced High School, and the athletic director spoke about not having certain periods that was obsolete and outdated program and all that. But we're talking here programs,
Oh, yeah.
we're talking about
Real-
areas of
real-
study.
real educational
Real
opportunities.
educational opportunities, and that's different.